are in the thick of all this now, and I think hopefully some of this was relevant to your team, Stephen and Brian from Haldane's, but I'll let you crack on.
Okay, thanks very much, Andy. Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to share our story so far of digitising a builder's merchant, and it is very much only the start of the journey. Ironically, it's a tech forum that we are presenting at. Myself and Brian McAuley is also part of the team. Brian is currently getting his broadband updated, so I think he's standing in a field somewhere in the middle of Ballymena trying to get a bit of a signal. So he'll pop in as and when he can. So, okay, so just to give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to do today, very quickly, who are Haldane Fisher, why we've gone digital, how that's impacted us, both personnel and the implications through the business. If we were doing it again, what would we do? What would we do differently? And then what is our plan for the next 6 to 9 months? So here are Haldane Fisher. We are probably better known as the Haldane Group, but Haldane Fisher is Northern Ireland's largest independent builders merchant. The Haldane Group as an organisation is the 12th largest in Britain, with a turnover of 130 million last year. The Haldane Group is made up of Haldane Fisher, which is based in Northern Ireland. We have 11 branches. We have 2 in the Isle of Man, 3 in England. We also have a pure timber business with G.E. Robinson. And we also have a ironmongery business called Key Hardware. And within Haldane Fisher, we have a couple of sub-brands, Bathline for our bathroom showroom business, and Plumb Master, which is for our plumbing business. Located all across, well, across the UK, primarily in the northern side of things. So a combination of locations within Northern Ireland, a couple in the Isle of Man, a couple in England, and then Robinsons are in white. But the majority of our business, probably 60% of our business, would be through the Northern Ireland marketplace. And as a result, and because of the sort of the differences, while we all trade under the same name, there are some obviously regional differences. So initially, when we've gone online from the e-commerce point of view, it's been purely restricted to Northern Ireland to allow us to better understand how the whole process works, and then with a view to rolling that out to Isle of Man and England next year. So the two of us sort of have headed this up. I look after the marketing for Haldane Fisher, been with the business for about 11 years, been in marketing for a fair good time. Brian is more from a merchanting perspective, but also strong views on marketing. We're both pretty passionate about customer service and also great marketing. So we kind of work together very well, me from the marketing side of things and Brian from the sort of commercial and merchanting side of things. So why did we go down the digital route? You know, we're very much a traditional builder's merchant, but we knew and know that, you know, we needed to go online. There's no two ways about it. And I think the important thing was that, you know, we had a brochure site, which was built in 2011. It was pretty poor. After about 2 years from it was built, it had a poor CRM system that wasn't optimized. So on handheld devices, it didn't go well, really clunky. And we knew from about 2013 that we wanted to get into e-commerce, but our ERP provider at that stage couldn't facilitate that. So we had been planning or factoring into doing a software upgrade to the next version of our ERP system, which would then facilitate e-commerce. So we knew we needed a new site, but we knew that going from branch to online, it really just means adding online to the branches and not really throwing out the baby with the bathwater. And that will hopefully become a bit more evident as we go through the next couple of slides. You know, so we know the world's changing, the market's changing. The most obvious one, you know, what's happened to us in the last 9 months. I don't think anyone would have foreseen, and who knows what's next coming down the track. But so it's the bit that we're closer to is the fact that our market is changing. You know, you go into, see, speak to any of your younger tradesmen, your younger customers, they've grown up with digital, they've grown up with iPhone, they've grown up with Amazon, and they expect that going forward. You know, I stand in one of our shops, and you look at half a dozen, I use the word loosely, elderly or more mature tradesmen standing at a trade counter and there's lots of banter flying, there's lots of crack, they're all chatting, having a laugh. You put 6 millennial tradesmen at that counter, and chances are most of them are going to be standing looking at their phones. So, you know, one of the reasons is obviously the change in the marketplace in the world, but there's also sort of 3 core strategic reasons. There's a growth strategy. So we want different ways to get to our customers. We want to be able to get to different customers. We want to be able to improve our customer service. We want to get those younger guys who are coming through and are more tech savvy. We also want that holy grail of the retail customer, those guys who are willing to pay a much higher margin than our trade guys, but maybe are terrified to come into a traditional builder's merchant. And also, you know, within the Northern Ireland marketplace, within our competitive set, we all kind of sell the same stuff at roughly the same prices. So it's about service, it's about making sure that we do keep our prices right, and it's about service, or about ensuring that we have something different to say to the customer base within Northern Ireland. So we feel that we have taken a bit of a step forward from our competitive set by having an online offering that sells timber and building materials, plumbing materials, and bathroom products, all within the one online platform. There's also, I suppose, a defensive strategy. As we said, things have changed. We're trying to future-proof the business going forward. And even within, you know, how we get staff, how do we get good people, as we talked about earlier on, and recruitment issues, we need, for us to now go to the marketplace with a strong e-commerce platform, positions us as a fairly forward-thinking business within Northern Ireland, as opposed to a traditional builder's merchant who is just selling over the counter. And that will allow us to get younger staff and allow us to be more attractive to getting the right people in. And also from an efficiency point of view, we're open 24/7, potentially 365. The cost to serve is dramatically reduced through online transactions. And I suppose one of the biggest thing is that it's really made us ask a lot of questions internally about our business and how we've done things. And you know, there's one thing I've really discovered about builders merchants is we love paper, we love duplicate books, and we love printouts. So all that manual processes we're starting to work our way through by upgrading the software systems that we have. And on the efficiencies, you know, we have an 0800 number on the website, and the majority of calls that we get through that 0800 number is, are you open? Which is always a good one to get, but also, where's my local branch? Now that, from my point of view, is interesting, because to my mind, that's new customers who don't know who we are, where we are. So there's obviously a positive and negative there. But those typical calls that come into branches, can I get a price? You can get it online. Do you have in stock? You can check online. I want to order, you can do it online. Where's my delivery? We're working on that one. Copy invoice, yep, get it online. Count balance, payment account. All those elements can now be handled through the website. And we're just starting to roll out a training process to our staff, and then also so that they can train our customers, and we can also train and communicate to our customers. So the team, you know, the team is both internal and external, and your external partners are just as important, if not more so, than your internal partners. So the first thing that we had to do was find the right partner from a web point of view. You know, I had met Andy at a BMF conference probably 5-6 years ago, where he was doing a forum on the digitization of builders merchants, and I think there's maybe 10 or 11 people at it, which kind of just shows, given the number of people that are attending today, just how things have moved on. But he was we've been looking around, but he was the first, eCommon Sense were the first business, or the first partner that I got a feeling that they understood what needed to be done and how it could be done. You know, we met lots of nice, snazzy, glitzy web companies who were going to develop the most fantastic website in the world, but never really got the sense that they understood the nature of our business. They sort of tend to think, oh, you're just selling a bit of wood and a few screws. Our business is incredibly complicated. You have multiple pricing platforms, you have multiple product offerings, you have multiple markets that you're dealing with. the whole thing is hugely complex behind the scenes. And from speaking to Andy then we kept in touch for a couple of years. Then we started progressing, and as we got under the skin of it, it was clear to from our side of things that Ecommon Sense were the right partner to go with, because they understood the business and they understood the back end and they understood the journey from a tradesman. So having the right partner is really important, but having the right internal people is also really important. So we created 2 or 3 or 4 new roles, I think it is now, direct roles. So we had Brian McAuley, who came in, head of group business and digital development. We appointed a digital and e-commerce manager, and we got him from a business who sold white goods online in Ireland. So he was coming from a pure e-commerce background, didn't know a nail from a screw. We brought in a data administrator, a graduate, who had done web design as his degree, and his role is to manage the PIM, all the product data. And we would feel that our product data is top notch. It's fantastic. There's lots of it. There's lots of work to do, but the data is there. And then we have brought in a digital sales coordinator. So their role is really to speak to customers on the front end, communicate with them, online chat, take the 0800 number, ensure that orders are going out whenever they're supposed to, and deal with any customer service issues. So, digital is now an integral part of the business strategy. It comes up in every management meeting, it comes up in every board meeting, and it's probably we know it is probably the key driver for us going forward next year. So, it has become central to everything that we do. So, how did that impact on us? Whenever we sat down with Andy and his team just before we sort of kicked off the whole process, he was pretty clear in that if we don't change our systems and adapt our processes to fit with the digital model, it'll fall over. If we try and take what we're doing currently and stick that into a website, it just ain't going to work. And do you know what? That is the best piece of advice that definitely I have picked up through this whole process. It couldn't have been truer. So the implications, back office integration. We worked with our ERP provider. I think it was challenging on both sides. There was resource issues. We were in the middle of a lockdown pandemic. We launched in 1st of July this year, so we've been up about 110 days. So the amount of work that was going on in that sort of 4 or 5 months was pretty hectic, tied in with a pandemic and staff being furloughed and that kind of stuff. So that is an implication, but we've got there and moved on with it. In addition, we've totally changed our pricing process. This was a project that had been kicking around for about 10 years, and everyone didn't want to do it because it was so complex, and we realized it was. Long story short, the price that was displayed in our branch is not the price that any trade customer would pay. It was a price that probably a retail customer would pay, but even then there was wriggle room to allow them to get a bit of discount. So we did, first of all, a margin review, which has made a significant increase to our margin. We've seen really good margin improvement over the last 18 months since that has happened. Once the margins were agreed and we were in total control of those, then we were able to look at our pricing strategy, and as a result have come out with, it's been hard work, there's no two ways about it, and we're still looking at it, but it has been hugely successful within the business that we are now charging a price that we are confident that we can display on the website, so that a retail customer who's coming in and doesn't get access to trade prices, that price that they're seeing is a really competitive price. So that then obviously translates back into the business, so that the prices we're displaying in our shop are now the correct prices too. So previously, where we've seen people looking at an SEL and going, oh flip, that seems quite expensive, they're now looking at it going, do you know what, that's a pretty good price. So that again is something that has pushed the whole way across the business, and it has really simplified a lot of work for us going forward. And then the other implication, stock and core range. I think as Tracy alluded to earlier, as regards supply chain issues, we toilet roll was one thing. Trying to source timber at one stage for fencing and decking was just a complete different story. So there's two elements to our mind. There's ensuring that you're able to get the product, but then also ensuring that all your branches have the right products. We are only trialing click and collect at the minute in one branch because we need to confirm our core range to ensure that every branch has at least a core range of products, and those branches that need more than the core range, but may need other products over and above that, can get those very quickly from another branch. So there's still a fair amount of work to do there, and it has and will shake up our stock holding. You know, we maybe could have, one branch would have 4 types of silicone, another branch could have 2 of those types of silicone, and another 2 types, because that's what the local guys are used to. So there are massive implications there too. So if we were doing it all again, heaven forbid, we're just about to actually, for Key Hardware. So hopefully we have learned some of our own lessons. Look, there's no two ways about it. It is hard. It is hard, but it's really rewarding. But if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Our industry behind the scenes is very complex. There's no two ways about it. So you need someone internally who knows what they're doing, and you need to try and ensure that your providers know what's going on. So hence, you need that real good relationship with your ERP provider and with your web development company. I suppose one of the biggest things that we've found internally is there's a massive cultural change required. And I think it's probably only now that some people are starting to get it. We had real strong buy-in from the top, the whole way down. You know, it was coming out from the top brilliantly. But probably about 95% of our sales so far have been to retail customers. So they expect that Amazon type experience. They expect to place their order and they get it the next day or 2 days with an email whenever they ordered, an email when it's been dispatched, and an email to say you've got it. We are a builder's merchant, and we tend to, you know, we're working with trade customers who know how the system works, and if the order's short, sometimes you don't get a chance to ring the customer, but it'll come out on the next lorry or the next day or whatever. Retail customers don't want that. And the other thing that we've found really different is that with e-commerce, so if you walk into one of our branches, you know, we find this really with fencing during the height of the pandemic and the lockdown. If you walk into our branch and say, I'm looking at some fencing, the guys will say, yeah, it's this price, but look, we're not going to have it for 3 weeks. And 9 times out of 10, they won't take your money because there's that potential gap. What we find with web customers is obviously once you take their money, as far as they're concerned, you're getting it, and you're getting it when you said you're going to get it. End of story. So there's a big job to be done there within our business. We are working on it. We've put some processes in place. It is an education, it's a learning. So hence, that's why we have, I suppose, released the brakes quite slowly. There was a merchant in the Republic of Ireland, TJ O'Mahony's, went live on Easter Monday or Easter Tuesday. Southern Ireland had just gone into lockdown. They were bombed. They coped with it, but I think it nearly killed them. If we had done it, it would have killed us. So we put restrictions in. We put a minimum order value in of 75. We'll start over with £100. We've now moved that down to 75, which has seen an increase in traffic. We started off with a delivery charge of £18. We have reduced that down to £10 for orders over 75 and free over 250. Again, we've seen an increase in traffic and an increase in transactions without impacting on our margin. So, you know, definitely allow yourself to control it. We haven't turned on click and collect, and we're just in the process of trialing that now in one branch because we need to manage expectations. So those all things, you know, the core range is crucial, your prices are crucial, ensuring the prices are correct. Your ERP provider, get an upfront commitment as regards timings, impact, potential penalties if it doesn't go live. And if you think about your business as an engine of a car, think about your business as a car. We lifted, we thought the car was running pretty good. The engine was tricking along nicely. As soon as we lifted the bonnet with e-commerce, we realized that we have huge issues, not insurmountable, but we've been doing things the way we've always done them. So obviously we're going to get the same outcome. But what we're now finding, we have found 3 or 4 key areas of the business that we need to address and that we have to address. That honestly, everyone probably knew were going on. It's not a surprise to anyone, but those now need to happen. And I suppose it's dragging us kicking and screaming into the 21st century. and probably the biggest thing, you need to be open to the business changes required, because if you don't adapt your business model, it won't work. So what's next? We're now rolling out marketing of the website. So we have a couple of different treatments, one aimed at retail, home improvement, just get easier, and then one at tradesmen, click, sleep, build, repeat. And in fairness, that initial idea came from Common Sense, and then we took it and adapted it and rolled it out. That's worked both online and offline. So this is now we're starting to roll out to our trade customers. Even though all the research we've done, we know that the majority of transactions initially will be through retail customers. We want to push our trade guys into the back office side of things, so it becomes an additional part of their business that they can't do without. And then just very briefly to finish off, we're just about to commission some market research to people who have traded with us in the first 3 months, get a handle who they are, why they bought with us, why they bought online, why didn't they go somewhere else. I suppose the biggest thing from my point of view is trying to understand that customer. Are they a retail customer buying product for a tradesman to come in and do a homework the weekend, or to come in and do business? Is it a tradesman who can't get credit? There's a whole multitude of reasons there that we need to start to get under the skin of. So, and that will form part of how we communicate to the trade. We need to upscale the team, and we're looking at moving into a couple of regional hubs to alleviate the pressure a little. The cultural change needs to continue. Although the branches are now seeing the benefit because they're getting sales without having to really do a huge amount of work. We need to look at our product range and how we can expand that in certain areas, and also the content relating to those products. We're about to kick off a massive SEO project. We wanted to give Google a couple of months to crawl the site, see what they thought of it, and then look at additional functionality. So we want to keep pushing the boundaries and keep releasing new content. And then the next stage is rolling out in England, rolling out in Isle of Man, and a separate standalone site for our ironmongery business, Key Hardware. So the one thing I would say is do it now. I wish we'd done it years ago. I'm glad we did it last year, and I'm glad we're not trying to do it now. But once you don't believe me, it is so worth it. We see so many changes to the business, and it sounds. I started off my marketing career in a theatre in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, called the Grand Opera House. It's a 1,000-seat theatre, and the biggest buzz I ever got was standing in the stalls on a Monday night when a show opened, and the theatre was packed. And you thought, something I have done. This is like 25 years ago, cheapers. But something I have done has put bums in those seats. You're now sitting with the app on your phone, and you take a juke in on the evening, and you see sales coming in. You're going, flip. Something we have done has put those sales through our website. And that, to my mind, and I suppose the other big massive benefit is it's all trackable, all traceable. So when you're going to your MD and you're looking more marketing budgets, I can now say to him, you give me X, we can bring in Y. And that is a completely different discussion to have, as opposed to, not quite sure where that sale came from. It might have been word of mouth, it might have been the website, or it might have been social media, or it might have been a radio ad. So look, in summary, do it now, or be damned. So that's me. Sorry, that was probably pushed through quite quickly because I'm conscious of time, but I hope you find that interesting, and I don't know if there's any questions.
Thanks, Stephen. There's been loads of questions, actually. I think you answered a lot of them as it's going on, kind of like what's the percentage of trade users, and I'd answer saying it was low, and you said sort of like 90% is customers you've never dealt with before, early days. Yeah.
But ironically, we're now seeing those customers repeating, and we're now able to bring them in and offer them a trade cash card account, which gives them 5% off or whatever. So it's been useful from that point of view too.
No, that's great. And obviously the campaign to onboard your, as you call them, more mature builders. But the other one for me and Oldroy actually was to say, what difference have the folks serving in branch found with e-commerce in place? Has it been welcome? Has it been beneficial? Has it been hated?
By our employees or by our customers?
By your employees, I suppose.
Let's just say it's the old, I suppose, a third. Some have embraced it fantastically, and we never get anything but positive reviews on Trustpilot. There's never any issues with the orders. It just goes seamlessly, and they've really bought into it. And there's a couple of branches are getting there, and there's a couple of branches still have a bit of work to do. So again, that's what I said. There's a massive cultural change required there. But as the branches start to see the benefit, then we're, we have 11 branches in Northern Ireland. They're all run as independent units, but they're all very competitive. So a couple of league tables firing out as regards retail sales and Trustpilot reviews never does any harm to focus the mind. So it will just take time.
Stephen, I noticed that you've used the Haldane Fisher brand, and that's always a dilemma as to whether you use the same name for trade as well as consumer. Did you consider using a different brand, or did you always focus on using that Haldane Fisher name?
We did, John, and we did bounce that idea around, but we feel that, especially in Northern Ireland, we've been here for 70 odd years. We're a very well known business, and any of the sort of research we did would have suggested that bricks and mortar backup is really important to an e-commerce site. So, it has brought us some issues across the way, and we may look with key hardware potentially doing it under a different name to allow it to separate it out, because there are some potential conflicts there. But we felt that the brand credibility of Haldane Fisher was so strong that that's a big, strong trading point. And we would, we launched Plumb Master, our plumbing business, about 4 years, 2016, and we brought in a guy from PTS. And whenever he went out starting to talk to his customers, as soon as he said it's going to be called Plumb Master and it's part of Haldane Fisher, he said it was a completely different discussion from a supplier point of view because of the credibility that having Haldane Fisher gave in the back of it. Likewise, when we Bathline in 2018, we initially had bathrooms at Haldane Fisher in very neutral text, and we were getting no cut through. And we found that as we introduced Haldane Fisher in its brand colours as part of the branding for Bathline, that it massively increased. So we just feel there's real strength in the brand. So that was the rationale behind it.
Thanks, Stephen. Excellent presentation, by the way.
Great. I think it's about time to wrap it up. Sorry for everybody to run over slightly. I think some of that stuff's so valuable though, and it's not my fault you guys asked loads of questions. So that shows us some good presentations there. The BMF or myself can put you in touch with any of the presenters today. I've got one from Rue Butler for Easy Stock, which I'll link you guys together so we don't waste any more time now. But thanks for attending, and look forward to seeing you at the next one. Hopefully not digital, because it's much better in person.
100%.
Well done, Andy. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, bye. Bye.